G'day friends, welcome to today's YouTube video. My name is James, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to be putting my face up in the corner of the screen and live reacting to this virtual voyage, kind of finishing my journals video. There's just lots of random little bits and pieces of finishing. I think I did 3.5 hours just finishing everything. So I'm just kind of like a place for your eyes to rest if the fast forwarding gets too much, because I was trying to fit it all in there and there's just a lot. Essentially I'm writing a lot as well, and it's not much journaling, it's more getting the haiku that I wrote in the workshop into the journal, because it's all on the internet, it's all formatted in an infographic, but I didn't actually have it in my journal, so I was mostly writing all the haiku. This journal, these are 3 inserts, plus there's like another little companion notebook that I used. These were created in April through 3 weeks of a live workshop. It's called Virtual Voyage. I'm going to put a blog post in my description box. If you don't know what Virtual Voyage is and you're just like, what is that? Go read that and it'll tell you all about it. In short, it's a live art journaling workshop. It's over a few weeks. There's just tons of content in there. So it's not all just live lessons. There's just lots of other things to see and do, like activities to print, port treasures, which is like downloads and things. We've done fonts before, collage sheets, like lots of random things to just download. It's an art journaling experience. Let's just call it that. And there's a cruise ship vibe to the whole structure of it, mostly because I used to work on cruise ships and I loved it and I miss it a lot, and it is just a really fun kind of, it was all fun terminology to use, and it kind of made a lot of sense to me when I was putting it together. When I look back at it, I think it is probably one of the most confusing things I've ever seen in my whole life, but it still makes a lot of sense to me. So I'm hoping that at some point it just translates to everybody, and I think people have been nice enough that even if it didn't make sense, they've just gone along with it. So I think we're all just living in our delusions together, which is really nice for me. Anyway, finishing all of this up, I did want to say, for those of you in Virtual Voyage, you would have heard me talk about this before, and anyone who's public has not heard me talk about this if you haven't been in that course. But bento box. I have created a box of products. I worked with a designer as well, a graphic designer, Brie, and she was amazing and took a lot of the visual language of stuff that I wanted to do with Virtual Voyage and turned them into graphic designs for products. And then we had the products manufactured. It's a whole box of items. It's very limited release, and I'm not going to make another run of them. And I am offering them to Virtual Voyage 6 students first, for having been in the course, and they're all Virtual Voyage 6 related, so I don't really think anyone outside of that would probably want them, but because it is really limited, I haven't tried to talk too much about it. I don't really know, I don't have an actual release date. We were supposed to do it at the end of Virtual Voyage 6, but unfortunately we had some manufacturing problems which just happen every single time. Anyone who has watched me put together those Patreon happy mailers or the creator box knows that we just have delays. It just is what it is. That's why everything I say comes with a maybe I'll do that or maybe it will, because I don't like to talk about it until it's actually done. Very Julia Fox. It's a masterpiece. Anyway, I'm really excited, and it's super interesting. It was interesting to go through the process and see a graphic designer put together the products in ways that, like, oh, it's me in there, like it's my visuals, it's my aesthetic, but it's not me putting it together. It's so different. So I really enjoyed that process. But you would have seen, maybe you were just wondering what those little wooden stamps were on that video. Those were the products that delayed everything. Basically, our manufacturer in Shanghai got put into a snap lockdown and couldn't go to the factory. They had to go in shifts, and it took so much longer to get those produced. Once they were actually produced, they had made a mistake with the file and they double printed one of the little rubber stamps. Now the stamps themselves, oh, they're here. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but they're a little wooden block stamp set. They're teeny tiny graphics, like teeny tiny little images. We call these decora, which is a Japanese like street style term, short for decoration. But you could think of them as little emojis or pictograms or something. They're like the alphabet stamps or the number stamps, but they're like teeny tiny little images that were used predominantly to decorate all of the course in Virtual Voyage 6. So I love them. They look so cute to me. They're super random. If you remember back in the day, or we still have it, we have seasonal decora and a decora stamp set. I've used these terms from the beginning of putting products together because I just love decorative little bits. That's what I love to put in my journals all the time. Anyway, so I'm obsessed with these. I absolutely love them. When they finally corrected the mistake and redid the thing, which again, trying to coordinate with these lockdowns that they had to deal with, I only got everything to put together with this to fix all of this mistake like 4 days ago, 3 or 4 days ago. I'm also getting ready to go to Paris and London in a couple of days. So there was just no gap here. If I wasn't going overseas, I would totally just put them together and they'd be ready. But I don't have enough time to put them all together and like photograph them, put them online, sell them, and ship them before I go. So most likely you'll hear more about it towards the end of June. Just for those of you who were wondering and waiting and thinking, did anything happen with that? Yes, absolutely. Manufacturing issues as per usual. But everything else is here, and some of the products I love them so much, and it's been really hard for me to not show you what they look like because I'm so obsessed with some of them. Things we have never done before, or things that we've done maybe once before. I'll just tell you, a charm. There's a little charm in there, a little postbox charm, and it's super cute. We did those brass charms for Patreon back in the day, but this one's a little red charm with white, I think it's enamel. It's a nickel charm. Anyway, whatever, who cares about the composition of it? It's super cute. It's a little Virtual Voyage 6 post box, and I just love it. It's a little three-dimensional as well. Not 3D as in like it's like a Pandora type charm, but there's like a little, you'll see. So let's talk about Virtual Voyage 6, because that's what you're here for, that you're seeing the journals be completed here. You see a lot of fun imagery popping up on the screen there. My journals are never really a good reflection of what happens in the course. I mean, obviously everything's in there, but some things are repeated. Some things maybe you think are a lesson or actually just a part of like some little content, but I've just featured it in my journal. So I always recommend, if you want to know more about it, not only to visit the blog to understand it, but to also search the hashtag. And we do them with numbers. So JLB Virtual Voyage 6 would be this one. If you search that hashtag on Instagram, you'll see a lot of the students' work, and then you'll start to see what is actually in there. And it was amazing. We had so many people doing such great work, and also taking the lessons and embellishing on them and like taking them further, like taking not only just the visuals that we learn from the lesson, but the theory and the techniques, and expanding on that as well. So I always really appreciate that. That makes me feel like I've done a good job as a teacher. So it's something that I hold on to quite dearly. But yeah, a lot of what we did was just super fun, super achievable. My goal this time, for kind of like my intention that I drive through the course, was I wanted it to be really doable. And I wanted this one to be one of the most achievable virtual voyages we've done, because I generally pack in so much that you can't finish it all. And it's on purpose, because I feel like, you know, I'm thinking of someone like me taking the course who will generally like plow through something and then be like, okay, what's next? So I wanted to kind of meet my match when I put the course together. Mostly everything I do, I'm trying to think of myself as the most judgmental I can be, and that's why I usually get carried away, because I'm pretty bad. So this one was supposed to be really doable. So we actually took the cruise activities, instead of doing 3 video tutorials, we took that down to 2, which I actually found more people did those in their entirety this time than any other time we had 3. So I'm not saying some of this stuff will be a permanent change, but I do take all of this into account. The way that the students go through the course does affect how I decide to put it together. And that's why we have all these live components, and that's why I keep things flexible. Like I chop and change lessons halfway through, because I think something would be more beneficial at some point, which is great. The great benefit of having a live workshop is that you can really tailor make the lessons and the experience to the group of people taking it. So I love that. I don't know anywhere else I can really do that except for these virtual voyages. So that is something that I was happy with. 3 weeks was a perfect amount of time for this particular, what's it called? Theme, Tokyo A Go-Go, Japan, Japanese pop culture. That was enough for me to get everything I wanted to get in there, which I was happy about, because sometimes I just don't know. Like, you're really just kind of guessing. I think I could always find more inspiration to dive deeper into, but I never want it to be so abstract that it looks like I'm clutching at straws or clutching at spanners. I don't know what that, clutching at pearls? I don't know what that term is. I think I've Kath and Kim'd it. So I don't want it to look like I'm desperate for a theme or a lesson. So this is kind of a guessing game. I get really upset though when it's not enough time. Like when we do the 2-week virtual voyages, it was actually enough for me with the Red Curtain Cruise, the Baz Luhrmann movies. That was good. I felt like that was fine. Burtonville though, I felt like was too short. There was just so much. There was so much more I could have gone into. So that's why I always toss up the idea of bringing that back. Having said that though, I'm not planning on doing any virtual voyage for Halloween this year, just because timing doesn't work out. Steve's back at work full time, and he does help me with a lot of the live aspects and components. I thought I could do it by myself, but sometimes I just, you know, I just have to make these decisions realizing like it's not something I have to do. I have a choice here. Like if I don't have to do it, why change everything just to have to do it in my brain? Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm being cryptic there, but I don't have to do the Halloween one, and it actually was kind of a bit more freeing because I'm supposed to be going to Australia and I do want to make sure that I get my Merry Mix Media stuff done before then. So time-wise, it really didn't work out for me anyway. And on a real secret note, I'm planning on hoping to be busy around that time. Don't ask me why or what that's about, but like that's just cryptic messaging from me. So anyway, that's why we're not going to really do a Halloween one, but I want to do a mini. I want to do a 4-day version, like we do at Art Journaling the Magic with the 4-day retreats. I want to do that. I want to try and see how I can format all of the same content offering that Virtual Voyage is into a 4-day mini virtual voyage, kind of like a long weekend. I think it would be hectic, but I think it would be really, really fun. And I already have a theme and I already have everything thought out. I haven't actually done an itinerary for it. Like I haven't blocked out how it would all go. So I think that's totally doable, and I'm thinking of that later for like late summer, like early August-ish or like mid-August-ish. That's what I'm thinking. I would love to do that. But the success of this has made me feel really good, really happy. On a personal thought, sometimes I wonder like how many virtual voyages can we get to before people are like, no more virtual voyages, James, like just stop. So that's why I have my style workshop, like it's a standalone workshop that I'm working on as well, and I'll hope to release that in the summer. That got pushed back because of this and because I decided to do the bento box. Everything is just flexible, but you know what? Years ago, I was not happy with that. I don't know if you've been around for a long time, but you remember I used to have such a hard time restructuring my expectations for like the timelines of things. I am so relaxed with it now, maybe even too relaxed. Maybe I've just gone completely the wrong direction this time. But yeah, I am so happy with just taking my time with these things. I think we got a lot of the work done before we'd even started the workshop because I was really intentional about giving myself enough time to do things. Even enough time to make mistakes with manufacturing in the bento box. Like I'm really being better, and I think this is not advice I would give to people starting out because, to be honest, it took years for me to get to a point where I felt like I could even take time to do things because it is a heavy grind in the beginning, girl. But I do feel like now that I am able to do that, it is a much healthier and better way to work, and I am just more productive this way than I ever have been before. I know sometimes I could make the argument that like, oh, maybe it looks like I'm doing less or I'm achieving less, but the quality of what I'm doing, I feel like is much better. My confidence in doing it, my understanding of it. Being a teacher is not something I ever really envisioned myself doing. And so I always get this random panic when I do these virtual voyages because I'm like, oh, this is the one it's all going to fall apart in. And we haven't gotten there yet. And I think that has a lot to do also with just allowing myself to have enough time to feel confident about what I'm producing and what I'm doing. That is a big key factor of like how you move forward is how you feel about it and how you feel about yourself doing it. So I'm really happy with it. I'm really, really happy. There are a few things that I might change in the future again, but I think 3 weeks was perfect and I just absolutely loved doing it all and sharing it all with you. So thank you again for joining Virtual Voyage 6. If you did, like I said, I'll leave more information about what Virtual Voyage is in the description box below. Go check out the hashtag JLB Virtual Voyage 6 to see more work from everybody. And that is it. That is the finished kind of look at putting all these journals together. I will have 2 flips, a music-only version and a full chatty version of these journals for you to watch on YouTube next week, I believe. And until then, have a great week. Bye.